On the news tonight, President Tinubu clinches multi-billion-dollar deal with Islamic Development Bank for infrastructure development.
Government and labor should reach a truce because the impact of the strike on the economy will be bad.
Mixed reactions trails labor strike across the country. Also tonight, experts advocate equitable care as Nigeria marks World Diabetes Day.
There's a great need for the public health sector to pay attention and prioritize diabetes management in this country.
Good evening and welcome to the NTA Network News. I am Ademola Adeoye, and we are live in Abuja, the nation's capital. Joining us tonight from Lagos is Ingeno John Adams. President Bola Tinubu has achieved advanced negotiations concerning a multi-billion-dollar infrastructure finance facility from the Islamic Development Bank to fund a multi-sectorial portfolio of infrastructure projects at the federal and sub-national levels in Nigeria. This is sequel to substantive investment discussions held between President Tinubu and the Vice President Country Programs of the Islamic Development Bank, Dr. Mansour Mokhtar. President Tinubu states that Nigeria is the candle of hope that will light the way for Africa investment in Nigeria, he explains, will be among the world's most high-yielding investment as money will flow easily in and out of the country. Noting the historic essence of President Tinubu's swift and decisive economic reforms, the Vice President of the Islamic Development Bank said the financial world has been monitoring events in Nigeria and concluded that Africa's largest economy means business this time. The Islamic Development Bank president announced the provision of $50 billion of new investment for the African continent from the Arab Coordination Group, ACG. This was announced at the Sub-Africa Economic Summit. Efforts are on to ensure measures on flood mitigation and its impact on citizens is considerably reduced. Vice President Kashim Shettima gave the assurance when the Presidential Committee on Flood Mitigation, Adaptation, Preparedness and Response submitted its report at the Presidential Villa in Abuja. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila reports.
The committee's report outlines a roadmap for improving the country's flood response and preparedness efforts. The report is based on the findings of 3 previous and ongoing assignments, including the National Economic Council Ad Hoc Committee Report on Flood, the National Flood Emergency Preparedness and Response Plan 2022, and the report of the Presidential Committee on Development of Comprehensive Plan of Action for Preventing Flood Disasters in Nigeria 2022. At the presentation of the committee's report, the Vice President gave a definite position of Nigeria's practical measures to mitigate climate change. Describing the report as a reflection of President Tinubu's commitment to renewed hope agenda on the environment, Vice President Kashim Shettima stated that the Tinubu administration is focused on improving the socio-economic conditions of Nigerians, especially the most vulnerable. The Vice President noted that in drafting the report, the committee was guided by science and focused from relevant agencies. The report, he noted, identifies vulnerable communities prone to flooding and presents a roadmap with recommendations to address the issues. Commending the committee for its hard work and dedication, he directed members to present the report to the National Economic Council for further deliberations and possible ascension by the Council. Director General of the National Water Resources Institute, Professor Emmanuel Adanu, who is also the chairman of the Technical Working Group, spoke about the major causes of flooding in Nigeria. and the strategies for mitigating its impact. He noted that beyond the effort of stakeholders in the public and private sectors, individuals and communities are required to pay attention to issues relating to drainage maintenance and healthy environmental practices. From the State House, Abraham Jibrila, NTA News.
And joining us tonight to discuss more on the report is Professor Emmanuel Adano, is the Director General of the National Water Resources Institute, a member of the Presidential Committee and Chairman of the Technical Working Group. Prof, you're welcome.
Thank you very much. And good evening, everybody.
Yeah, good evening. And congratulations on the completion of this national assignment. Now, Prof, can you give us an overview of this report?
Well, the overview is basically the experiences we've had in the country before in terms of flooding. You remember we had a serious flood in 2012. Then we had a 10-year hiatus, I would say. Then we had intermittent flooding, but not on that scale. Then 2022. Now, everybody in Nigeria knows when flooding is coming because we have this distinct rainy season and dry season. Now, it arises from the experiences we had, the destructions it had caused, the trauma, physical destructions, even mental, it has caused Nigeria, and disruption of economic activities.
Right.
Now, 3 different committees were set up at different times. One was an ad hoc preliminary assessment committee of the NEC, and it was chaired by the executive governor of Kogi State. Then there was one also for emergency preparedness and response by the humanitarian ministry. That was last year, 2022. Then the third one also was set up last year for a comprehensive master plan for the prevention of flooding disasters in Nigeria. That one I chaired the technical working group as well. Now, the vice president summoned us, and we had this meeting, and he said all these 3 documents can be put together. Then we'll come out with a roadmap. The roadmap should be comprehensive enough to accommodate all the I would say, recommendations in the 3 reports. So
yes, yeah, Prof, I was just going to ask you, what are the highlights, the key recommendations to mitigate the effects of flood that you gave?
Yeah, the highlights for the mitigation of the flood. The recommendations did not stop with the mitigation, preparedness, response, resilience, and adaptation. So basically, we are looking for an institutional framework for the management of flooding, capacity building for the management of flooding, coordinated early warning system for the management of flooding, and also integrating flooding into the national economy. Because flooding is the only disaster that has both positive and negative, negative and positive aspect. So the positive aspect of it in our recommendation is to be integrated in the development of our plan. We have various other strategic plans, but they are all under this major 4 points.
Okay, thank you, Prof, for highlighting some of the recommendations there. But these recommendations, are they implementable, and what are the possible quick wins to start with?
Yeah, they are implementable. In fact, that's the reason why we recommended them. And how to implement them also came out. We have short-term, middle-term, and long-term measures for all of them. And the short-term measures are there. NEMA is doing a lot of work in response, preparedness and response to the flooding. But there are other areas that we took into consideration that are very important, because when we have the flooding, NEMA is there, humanitarian is there to take up the preparedness and response to it. What if we prevent the level of their commitment by mitigating the effect of flooding? So those are structural controls and non-structural controls to mitigate the disaster in flooding, in effect reducing the amount of money to be spent in preparedness and response. That is also there. Then early warning system, which we've already been having in the country, we have to strengthen it so that, a lot of people, and we disseminate this right to the communities. It is not just early warning system in scientific way, and people don't understand what you are doing. So we are also trying to bring that right down to the communities and in different languages, and not sometimes visual. You look at a certain structure and you know exactly what it means when flooding is coming. So all those things are taken care of. They are implementable, and that's why I recommended them.
Okay, what the quick wins to start with, what are the things that you are going to start with?
Now, if the flooding that took place, some people are already affected, federal government can make sure that these people, some are traumatized, federal government can make sure that palliatives are given to them.
Okay.
And also some other, therapy, because you may not lose your property, you may lose somebody. So this, we have this psychopathic and social aspects of it. Federal government can do that, and that is continuous. So immediately they can take into consideration the way to mitigate the effect of this on the people. Those are the immediate things. But we also have immediate, in terms of structural. We can try to see if our rivers are trained properly. Certain areas in the rivers are trained. That's the word we use actually to make river respond to what you want. So federal government can start that one immediately, preparatory to the oncoming flood, because we have identified areas in Nigeria that must be flooded for as long as there's rainfall, because we have a very unique drainage pattern. So those areas can be done, trained properly, so that the effect of ambient flow will be reduced.
Thank you very much, Prof, for coming on the news tonight. I've been speaking with Professor Emmanuel Adano. He is the Director General, National Water Resources Institute, Kaduna. Thank you, Prof.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Thank you. In a bid to improve the resilience of the people and ecosystem of the Niger Basin Authority, the German government has approved 20 million euros to support new projects for 2024 integrated development and climate change adaptation. This new program plan was disclosed during the regional meeting of the Niger Basin Authority holding in Abuja. Usman Zubairu has details.
The Regional Steering Committee meeting of the Niger Basin Authority is taking place in the nation's capital Abuja and being attended by 9 member countries and international donor agencies. Focus on the presentation of legal documents on the Regional Climate Change Adaptation Fund and sensitization of policymakers as well as end users on climate product and information from satellite data for better water resources management.
The project is about to start, which will begin in 2024. And this project will be funded with an amount of 20 million euros for better coordination within the Niger Basin countries.
Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation, Professor Joseph Usef, declaring the working session of the Niger Basin Authority Steering Committee open, said President Bola Tinubu in his Renew Hope agenda is committed to supporting Niger Basin Authority activities for satisfactory results to combat poverty and food security.
I'd like to urge you to propose relevant outcomes to facilitate the implementation of the various projects and programs for the benefit of our people.
Dans ces programmes-là, nous avons les barrages.
Then we spoke about the dams, existing dams, and also dams being constructed, under construction, like the Kenji, Jebba, and Lagdo Dam.
For the next few days, key players will be deliberating on issues on the new agenda, take appropriate actions, and make recommendations to the Council of Ministers for their consideration. In Abuja, Usman Zubairu, NTA News.
And now to the situation report on the strike. The indefinite strike action declared by the Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, and the Trade Union Congress, TUC, appears to have had significant impact on government business in the FCT. Victor Azu reports that some offices were shut and those open did not quite function.
It's an unusual Tuesday. The strike action declared by labor unions is taking a toll. Several government offices visited had their gates shut. Those not shut lack the usual hustle and bustle. The Federal Secretariat was neither a ghost town nor the usual beehive of activities.
For today, it has been so effective. The ministry has been dull, you can see. Even some of the senior staffs in the head of service, the directors, they didn't come to office. I'm just coming from the Ministry of Health just now. I noticed that the place was scanty. So some people observed it, some did not.
I was supposed to have one appointment or the other, especially at the National Identity Management Commission. I went to their head office. They were not there. I came here. They are not there. They said it's due to strike.
I came to follow up a submission at the ministry, and I made the whole place virtually under lock and key. Government and labor should reach a truce because the impact of the strike on the economy will be bad.
While at it, the economy suffers. It spares no one's blushes. Observers say there is urgent need to engage. In Abuja, Victor Azu, NTA News.
And still on the strike, the indefinite strike declared by the NLC and its affiliates was trailed with mixed reactions in some states. Ogochukwu Ona reports.
From Oka, Anambra State, the indefinite strike action witnessed low compliance as correspondent Onome Okadigbo reports that residents say the information got to them late.
It's not just about the maltreatment of the national president of NLC, but injury to one is injury to all.
Andiang and the Abagyang in Jos Plateau State reports that the secretariat housing various ministries and parastatals was under lock and keys. Workers in Ekiti State complied with the directive of the organized labor as monitored by Olukemi Sani.
All I just appeal to the NLC is that they should consider the general interest of Nigerians.
Kogi State workforce also complied with the directive as captured by Jacob Sani. In Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, Utibe Achibon reports that stakeholders are urging workers in the state to ensure strict compliance of the indefinite nationwide strike. In Kano, the labor leaders say injury to one is injury to all as they joined the industrial action. Aminu Umar captured the mood.
It is the office of the national president of the Nigeria Labour Congress that was assaulted, not a person.
In Kaduna, Adamu Sunday, who monitored the level of compliance, reports that the action suffered a setback as people went about their day-to-day businesses. From Ibadan, Funke Ibidamiton went round to feel the impact of the strike. In Abuja, Ogochukwu Ona, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the presidency has termed the decision by the NLC and TUC to embark on strike despite a restraining order issued last week by Justice Benedict Bakwash Kanyet of the National Industrial Court as an ego-tripping move and an attempt to blackmail the government. The special advisor to the president on information and strategy, Bayo Onanuga, in a statement notes that calling out workers on a national strike over a personal issue of the labor leader Joe Ajero is an abuse of privilege. Onanuga states that the federal government does not condone any form of violence and assault on any citizen, and that the Inspector General of Police has ordered investigation into what happened to Ajero, while the Commissioner of Police in Imo State, under whose watch the incident happened, has been transferred out of the state. The presidency therefore points that the nation's economy and social activities should not suffer because of the personal interest of any labor leader, as the organized labor has always been a champion of rule of law and respect for the judiciary, wondering how the current labor leader have shown disregard for court order. We now take a break. The news continues shortly. Stay with us. You're welcome back. You're still on to the network service of the NTA. This is Network News. Nigeria government has commended the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for calling an emergency meetings of member states of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, OIC, with regard to resolving the ongoing conflict in the Gaza Strip between Israel and Hamas. Yusuf Toga, Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs, commended the efforts to end the Israel-Hamas conflict during the closing of Saudi Africa Summit in Riyadh. Garba Natala reports.
Nigeria's outing at the Saudi Africa Summit in Riyadh has paved the way for Nigeria to reaffirm UN's resolution recently passed by 193 UN member states calling for an immediate humanitarian truce and a ceasefire to end hostility between Israel and Hamas. With these calls as well, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia summoned Nigeria and other member states of the Organization of Islamic Countries, OIC, to an emergency meeting to discuss the situation at Gaza.
The war against the people of Gaza cannot be contemplated in the same breath of the just war doctrine and has to stop for the sake of humanity.
Yusuf Tuga, Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs, further re-echoed Nigeria's position on the need to prioritize saving civilian lives.
We must work collectively to bring an end to the violence and find a lasting solution to the Palestinian-Israeli conflict based on the UN-prescribed two-state solution. Nigeria stands firmly by this.
The Organization of the Islamic Countries, OIC, is the second largest organization representing 57 member states aside the United Nations that plays a significant role in addressing crisis and working towards a peaceful resolution in the Muslim world. In Abuja, Garba Muhammad Atala, NTA.
MTN, the global mobile network, has expressed confidence that the current economic reforms by President Tinubu's administration signals a bright future for investors in the country. This was at the MTN Premier Capital Markets Day, organized to keep investors abreast with progress and prospects of the company. Ekene Undule reports.
It has been a good year for MTN, with an increase in active mobile subscribers by 4.8% in 9 months. Under the same period, the company recorded an increase in active data users by 13.3%, while active mobile money wallets grew by 53.1%. The telecom giant is unveiling its vision for year 2025, with mouth-watering prospects for its investors.
The future remains bright for our company as we translate from being a telecom company to a technology company. We will continue to look at ways to diversify to make sure that our shareholders are happy.
We're one of the few companies where almost every driver of our business is in a growth phase, even voice. Data is accelerating at over 40% growth now, year on year. Voice, one of the few markets continue to grow with it. And then we have an almost limitless runway in terms of financial services.
We're deploying spectrum technology in terms of massive MIMO to increase the coverage on the existing sites.
The company's growth cannot be divorced from government policies and current reforms in the country. These experts say holds great prospects for investors.
The Central Bank of Nigeria has started to clear the FX backlog, and it is doing this in an orderly manner.
The structural adjustment that we're experiencing right now, I think people should see that, as painful as it is that it is the right indicator that the country is on the right course to deliver the inclusive growth.
MTN is proud of how far it has come, with promises to expand its financial and digital inclusion in the next few years. In Abuja, Ekene Ndulwe, NTA News.
Yobe State Governor Mai Mala Buni has presented a sum of 217 billion naira before the State Assembly as proposed budget for the 2024 fiscal year. tagged Budget of Consolidation and Economic Recovery, the proposed sum is to cover both recurrent and capital expenditures to enable completion of ongoing projects and funding of new ones in the coming year. Yunusa Sulaiman reports.
Presenting the 2024 Finance and Appropriation Bills before the State House of Assembly, Governor Buni says out of the total proposed budget size, 94.1 billion naira, representing 43.39%, is proposed as recurrent expenditure, while the sum of 122.8 billion naira, representing 56.61%, is allocated for capital expenditure.
This budget is unique in the sense that it will serve as a launch pad for another development phase of our second term of office. I consider it as the budget that will usher in our drive to give the landscape of Yobe State the needed facelift.
While reviewing the budget performance of the outgoing year, the governor informed the lawmakers that out of the approved 168 billion naira, only 94.8 billion naira was received and expended for both recurrent and capital expenditures from January to September, indicating 58.2% success, hence expressed optimism that the figure will go up before the end of the year. The 2024 Finance and Appropriation Bills have scaled through first and second readings, with the Speaker of the Assembly, Chiromo Masho, assuring the State Executive of speedy passage of the bills before the end of December 2023. Meanwhile, Governor Memala Buni has presided over the swearing-in of Alhaji Baba Malam Wali as the substantive secretary to Yobe State government, with a charge on him to commit his wealth of experience to employ cost-effective measures for government to save cost and channel more resources into people-oriented projects and programs. In the Matru, Yunusa Suleiman.
A total of 1,709 widows and orphans of fallen heroes of the Nigerian Armed Forces have received a financial support of 250,000 naira each, courtesy of the Renewed Hope Initiative pet projects of Nigeria's First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu. The First Lady, while presenting the donation, says the society must continue to recognize the pains of the widows and show gratitude by seeking to empower them. State House correspondent Adeni Taiwo reports.
My husband when I was 29.
At 33, Antonia Otun has been a widow for 4 years now, having lost her husband in 2019. Since then, she has endured life alone, having to cope with the challenge of raising their 3 kids all by herself. She is not alone in this category. Today, she shares the company of 70-year-old Hasimao Audu and about 1,707 other widows and orphans of fallen soldiers whose husbands and fathers paid the ultimate price while defending the unity and sovereignty of Nigeria at various theaters of war.
With the help of God, it hasn't been easy at all. Paying school fees, house rent, feeding.
Although silent, echoes of their cries for attention is loud enough for Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu, who is here with her pet project, Renewed Hope Initiative, to offer them financial support that will possibly pass for more than a widow's mite, a donation of 250,000 naira each.
This will enable you to recapitalize an existing business or to start a new business of your choice to enable you care for your families.
The path of a wife of a military man is not an easy one, the First Lady says, as she called on the beneficiaries to lean on one another and forge needed solidarity. President, Defense and Police Officers' Wives Association and wife of the Chief of Defense Staff, Ogogo Musa, who received the donation on behalf of the beneficiaries, applauded the intervention, describing it as a much-needed relief. Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, who was represented, appreciates the First Lady for her thoughtful gesture, which he says shows that the welfare of widows is a priority for her.
I have some projects that I have not finished. The house I'm staying and I have not finished repairing, so I will use part of it to do it and use the other one for my poultry.
I pray for the First Lady that she will get long life.
Put at a total sum of 427,750,000 naira, the intervention is captured under the Social Investment Program of the Renewed Hope Initiative. From the Nigerian Army Officers' Mess, Abuja, Adeni Taiwo, NTA News.
Nigeria's First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu, has been decorated as the Grand Patron of African Paralympic Committee. President of the African Paralympic Committee, Samson Dean, conferred the honor on her at a short ceremony held in her office at the villa. State Out correspondent Adeniyi Taiwo reports.
There, another feather added to her cap as the Grand Patron of the African Paralympic Sports Committee. Her choice and eventual decoration ends the search of the continental body for a worthy ambassador and role model whose love for sport and care for the vulnerable groups in the society can help push the frontiers of Paralympic sports on the continent. And in her, they have found a ready and eager Grand Patron as she promises to work with the committee to see to the elevation of para sports on the continent.
I believe it is our collective responsibility to ensure that every individual, regardless of their abilities, have the opportunity to shine and be recognized for their skills and achievements. It is on this note that I accept the role of Grand Patron of this remarkable body. As Grand Patron, I will support these dedicated individuals and organizations involved with the African Para Games and Para Sports to further its mission within my humble capacity.
By accepting the call to serve, the First Lady, according to the President, African Paralympic Sports Committee will help to galvanize the sports.
Your unique positions as Senator and First Lady of the most powerful African nation are strategic to influence and network with other First Ladies in Africa and the world to support this cause.
We look forward to witnessing the impact of her leadership in advancing the cause of para sports and promoting a more inclusive society.
It is quite fitting that the ceremony was witnessed by First Lady's fellow cheerleaders in sport, wife of the Vice President Nana Kashim Shettima, and Senate President's wife Ekaite Akpabio. In the State House, Adeniyi Taiwo, NTA News.
The Northeast Development Commission, NEDC, says it is committed to improve the quality of life of people in North through the impactful projects and programs. The Managing Director of the Commission, Mohammed Goni Alkali, stated this during an inspection visit to some projects being executed by the Commission in Adamawa State. Yusuf Jika reports.
It is a time for the newly constituted members of management and board of the Northeast Development Commission to familiarize themselves with some of the completed and ongoing projects in Adamawa State. The ongoing construction of mega secondary school in some local government expected to meet the global standard is to improve the educational being of students in the area. The management board of the commission also inspected the technical trade training center in Giri local government, which is serving as the hub for various trades out to empower the youths with necessary skills to become productive in life. Modibo Adama University Teaching Hospital Yola is also a beneficiary of Northeast Development Commission, with the ongoing construction of accident and emergency units to be fully equipped with the state-of-the-art facilities. The Managing Director, Northeast Development Commission, Mohammed Goni Alkali, who expressed satisfaction with the level of work done so far, said the Commission will not relent at ensuring quality projects that will touch the lives of the people positively, in line with the renewed hope agenda of the present administration.
So we're just going around the whole of North to see our projects and see if we can make some amendment or readjustment or do whatever possible to make sure that whatever has been intended is achieved.
The management and board of the commission had earlier visited Governor Amadou Umaru Fentri of Adamawa State to intimate him on the development so far of the building of the ravaged Northeast, where the governor assured them of necessary support.
We should be seeing us going with the speed that is expected to recover from the damages of the insurgents.
The team was also at the palace of Lamido Adamawa on a similar visit. In Yola, Yusuf Jika, NTA News.
Are you feeling excessive thirst, extreme hunger, weakness and fatigue with blurry vision and frequent urination? Chances are that you may be diabetic. Experts say 1 out of 2 people living with diabetes are not aware. This therefore informed the yearly celebration of World Diabetes Day to create awareness on the disease. Basi Ita Epan reports on the significance of the day.
Diabetes, experts say, has become a public health concern, which requires both public and government commitments. Since 1991, the World Health Organization set aside November 14th as World Diabetes Day. The day is aimed at responding to growing concerns the disease poses by its escalating health threats. It provides an opportunity to raise awareness for what needs to be done for better prevention, diagnosis and treatment.
There's a great need for the public health sector to pay attention and prioritize diabetes management in this country.
Statistics by the World Health Organization shows that globally in 2021, 537 adults between the ages of 20 and 79 were living with diabetes. The number of people living with diabetes is projected to increase to 643 million adults in 2030, while in Nigeria, 1 in 2 persons diagnosed are living with diabetes. Muslimat Isa, who was diagnosed 10 years ago, shares her experience coping with the disease.
Taking a very balanced diet, a good diet that doesn't contain a lot of carbohydrates, because carbohydrates will ginger this thing up.
This year's theme, Access to Diabetes Care. Know your risk factor, know your response. Experts that will catch regular exercises and check up. Basi Taipan, NTA.
And for more on World Diabetes Day, we now join Ingeno John Adams in Lagos. Over to you, Ingeno.
Thank you, Demola. Cases of diabetes are becoming alarming, with the World Health Organization's chart showing a steady increase over the past few years. Arresting the trend through provision of access to the right information and equitable care, experts say is imperative. As the world marks this year's Diabetes Day with the theme Access to Diabetic Care, Lanre Bilei takes a look at measures put in place by government to fight the disease.
Number and worrisome projections by the International Diabetes Foundation says it all. The data revealed that as of 2021, there was 37% prevalence of diabetes in Nigeria. That is 3,623,500 cases. This calls for renewed effort in tackling the increase in the number of cases. Medical experts say equal access to right information and care is important.
The first thing is that all primary health care centers should be able to check blood glucose. There should be a point of care device, a glucometer, to check patients' blood glucose, either to determine if they have diabetes or to see the level of blood glucose when they come.
The federal government in 2022 came up with the Eye Care Initiative in collaboration with a foreign government to provide diabetic care and facilitate insulin access to the most vulnerable patient groups in Nigeria. It also aims at upscaling primary healthcare centers to provide the right information, better accessibility, timely treatment and care to patients. Key players believe professional healthcare givers, especially at the grassroots, should be included in assessing right and latest information.
Like this, they are able to do the required investigations to, first of all, make a diagnosis and also follow up on the management, and also access the required medication needed to manage diabetes.
This will enable early diagnosis and care. Lagos, Lanre Bilei, NTA News.
To other matters now, the Nigerian Army has organized a strategic workshop on office management and document security for clerks of 2 and 81 divisions. The training is in line with the Chief of Army Staff's vision of transforming the Nigerian Army into a well-trained, equipped, and highly motivated force towards achieving its constitutional responsibilities within a joint environment. Bolaji Akim completes the report.
Of prevailing security challenges
The need to protect restricted documents against espionage and cyber attack is of topmost priority to the Nigerian Army.
The essence of this workshop.
To this end, the workshop with the team enhancing operations security through effective office management and security of documents, information and units is to broaden the scope of participating officers on the importance of security and service delivery. Declaring the workshop open, Chief of Army Staff represented reminded officers of the importance of their duties to the Nigerian Army and the country at large.
Your duties affect the lives and careers of your colleagues and comrades. We all rely on the output from your work for action during operation and otherwise. Hence, you cannot afford to take your responsibility lightly, as the consequences will more often be felt well beyond the comfort of the offices and orderly rooms where most of you work.
The workshop will also familiarize participating officers with modern developments in document security and enhance their knowledge on how documents can be protected with the increased use of cyberspace for relaying messages. In Lagos, Bolaji Akim, NTA News.
That's it from here. The news will continue after this break.
You're welcome back. You're still on to 9 o'clock news on the network service of the NTA. Just when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is talking with top officials of the Islamic Development Bank to negotiate a multi-billion-dollar infrastructure finance facility to help build ports and power plants in the country, experts in the field say finances from Islamic banking can help achieve the SDG goals.
The SDGs, a just transition is, a just economy, a just world where you have education for all, potable water, sustainable development for all nations. And also, we want Nigeria and Africa to key into the SDGs, putting in Islamic finance, using Islamic finance structures as ways of involving or getting attached to all the SDGs.
Prices inched up on Tuesday after an OPEC report said market fundamentals remained strong, and due to concerns supplies might be disrupted as the U.S. cracks down on Russian oil exports. Brent crude futures rose 33 cents to $82.85 a barrel. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures were also up 33 cents at $78.59 a barrel. The equities market records the first gain of the week with 0.32% gain, a total of 327.4 million shares in 6,533 deals, corresponding to a market value of 3.368 billion were traded. Today's data shows 31% decline in volume, 57% decline in turnover, and 14% decline in deals. The current market capitalization is 38.9 trillion naira. Japol Gold and Ventures recorded the highest volume of 44.7 million traded shares, followed by Fidelity Bank 36.4 million and United Bank for Africa 26.7 million. That's business news. We now take a break. The news continues shortly. Stay with us. You're welcome back. President Bola Tinubu condoles with the family of retired soldier, broadcaster and veteran actor Usman Baba Patagi, otherwise known as Samanja. The president described the death of the popular thespian as a painful loss, saying he contributed to the country through the various vocations he pursued in his lifetime. He recalled how the late Patagi chose to obey the call to national duty when the country needed his service. His television show, Samanja, he noted, was a must-watch entertainment for decades, as it taught young citizens national values and respect for the military. President Tinubu encouraged the Patagi family, the people and government of Niger and Kwara State, the Patagi Emirate Council and members of the Nigerian entertainment industry to take comfort in the worthy legacy of the deceased. The Okoli family of Umweze, Amambwa, Okha, South Anambra State, wishes to announce the passing of their patriarch, Felix Chukwu Emeka Okoli. He was aged 84. Fize, as he was fondly called, Felix Okoli started with the old Nigerian television service and was one of the early staff trained by the Americans who established the station. A Requiem Mass is scheduled for tomorrow, Wednesday, the 15th, at the Holy Family Catholic Church, Festac Town, Lagos, at 10 o'clock in the morning. Wake Keep and Holy Mass will precede the funeral Mass, which will hold on the 7th of December at First Joseph Catholic Church, Maryland, and Mambwa, Okha, south of Anambra State. It's survived by children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. And that's the news tonight. Thanks for being there. Good evening.